Imagine standing on a battlefield where not a single human soldier is in sight, yet the sound of engines growls, machines move with terrifying precision, and weapons fire with cold efficiency. No fatigue, no hesitation, no fear. Just robots carrying out missions once left only to people. It sounds like the plot of a futuristic movie, but it isn't. This reality is unfolding right now as armies around the world quietly deploy combat robots that are faster, smarter, and deadlier than anything we've seen before. The question is no longer if robots will fight our wars, it's whether we're ready for the consequences. For decades, machines were simply tools of support. They carried supplies, defused bombs, and scouted dangerous territory. But those days are long gone. What was once just assistance has become autonomy. Now we are looking at systems that can patrol, fire weapons, and even make life or death decisions in real time. From the deserts of the Middle East to the icy waters of the Pacific, unmanned ground vehicles, aerial drones, and even robotic submarines are changing what it means to go to war. This isn't science fiction. This is the dawn of robotic warfare. On land, the rise of autonomous armored vehicles has already begun. Take the US Army's Robotic Combat Vehicle, a tank-like machine that can scout ahead, carry missiles, or unleash firepower without putting a single soldier in harm's way. It comes in multiple sizes, from light and fast to heavy and devastating, some even armed with 30mm cannons. Across the globe, Russia's Uran-9 prowls, battlefields with machine guns, rocket pods, and even flamethrowers, a nightmare on tracks. While it struggled in Syria with communication glitches, its evolution is ongoing, and the next version will be even more lethal. Then there's THEMIS, a smaller but incredibly versatile robot from Estonia, adopted across NATO. One day it's carrying wounded soldiers, the next it's transformed into a mobile weapons platform. Flexibility like that means the battlefield is no longer just about brute force, it's about adaptability. But war is not confined to the ground. Look up and you'll find the sky dominated by drones that have reshaped the rules of conflict. The MQ-9 Reaper, operated by the US, is perhaps the most famous. Able to fly for more than a full day without landing, it carries missiles and bombs that can strike with surgical precision. It has already become a central figure in modern warfare across multiple continents. Yet even more chilling are drones like Turkey's Kargu 2, a loitering munition capable of identifying and diving into targets on its own. In Libya, reports suggest it may have autonomously attacked humans without direct orders. Think about that for a second. A flying robot deciding when to kill, and then the next step, drone swarms. Dozens, even hundreds of drones, all communicating with each other, overwhelming defenses like a swarm of locusts. China, the US, and Israel are racing to perfect this technology, and once it's fully unleashed, traditional defenses might not stand a chance. Beneath the waves, the oceans are no safer. The US Navy's Sea Hunter is a sleek, ghost-like vessel that can track submarines for months without a single sailor on board. It's quiet, relentless, and capable of operating independently across vast distances. But perhaps nothing is as terrifying as Russia's Poseidon, an underwater drone powered by nuclear energy, designed to carry a nuclear warhead. Its mission? To slip past defenses and unleash radioactive tsunamis along coastlines. It sounds apocalyptic because it is. A robot torpedo capable of ending entire cities in one strike. Yet the most dangerous part of these machines isn't their size or weapons, it's the intelligence guiding them. These aren't remote-controlled toys. They are increasingly run by advanced algorithms, machine learning, and object recognition systems. They can analyze environments, distinguish targets, and act faster than a human ever could. But here's the terrifying question. Should a robot be allowed to decide who lives and who dies? Can AI truly tell the difference between a combatant and a civilian? And if a robot makes the wrong decision, who carries the blame? These questions are not abstract. They are being debated right now at the United Nations because the stakes couldn't be higher. Of course, some argue robots could save lives. Sending machines into danger instead of soldiers could prevent countless deaths. But the other side of the argument is equally powerful. By removing human hesitation, empathy, and accountability from warfare, do we risk creating conflicts that escalate faster, deadlier, and more uncontrollably than ever before? And what happens if this technology falls into the wrong hands? Hackers, rogue states, or terrorist groups? A single autonomous weapon in the wrong place could create chaos on a scale we've never experienced. There are already growing movements to ban or strictly regulate fully autonomous weapons. Protesters call them killer robots and demand international agreements to limit their use. Dozens of nations support restrictions, but others push forward, unwilling to give up the tactical advantage. Because in war, the temptation to be one step ahead often outweighs caution. And so humanity stands at a crossroads, caught between technological progress and ethical responsibility. Here's the reality. The future of war is not just about machines, it's about choices. We are building weapons that can think, act, and kill. Whether they protect us or destroy us depends entirely on how we use them. And that decision, for better or worse, rests in our hands. To understand the gravity of this shift, consider history. Every major leap in military technology, from the invention of gunpowder to the machine gun to the nuclear bomb, has changed the balance of power forever. Robots may be the next leap, one that doesn't just change tactics, but rewrites the very rules of conflict. The difference this time is that the weapon itself can make choices, something no sword, cannon, or missile could ever do. And that makes this leap unlike anything before it. Another unsettling truth is how rapidly these technologies are spreading. What was once reserved for superpowers is now being developed by smaller nations, private companies, and even startups. Cheap drones modified with explosives have already been used by non-state groups in conflict zones. Imagine what happens when more advanced combat robots, powered by open-source AI, start slipping into the hands of those with no rules, no oversight, and no hesitation. The battlefield of the future might not be run by generals, it could be dictated by whoever has the most accessible code and hardware. And then there's the psychological impact. Soldiers have always faced the human cost of killing, a weight that, for better or worse, forces hesitation. Robots don't feel that. They don't hesitate, don't question, don't second guess. A war fought by machines might be efficient, but it could also be merciless. Entire cities could become battlefields where no human combatant sets foot, but where devastation spreads faster than anyone can comprehend. For civilians caught in the middle, the experience would be terrifying. An invisible enemy that doesn't sleep, doesn't negotiate, and doesn't forgive. Some optimists argue that combat robots could, ironically, lead to fewer wars, because the sheer destructive potential might deter nations from fighting in the first place. Much like nuclear weapons created a tense but lasting balance during the Cold War, autonomous robots might force nations to think twice before risking all-out conflict. But that hope rests on a fragile assumption, that leaders act rationally and that machines never malfunction. History has shown us time and again that both assumptions are dangerously optimistic. There's also a question of identity. If wars are fought by machines, what does that mean for soldiers themselves? For centuries, being a warrior was tied to honor, sacrifice, and human courage. In a world where machines take over the battlefield, does that tradition disappear? Or do humans find new roles as strategists, controllers, or overseers of swarms of machines? It could be the dawn of a new kind of soldier, one whose greatest weapon is not strength or bravery, but the ability to manage and command technology. And here's something rarely considered: the economy of war. Machines don't just change tactics, they change budgets. Developing, producing, and maintaining robotic armies costs billions. Nations may soon face the choice of whether to invest in human welfare or machine warfare, and history suggests the latter often takes priority. What will society look like when vast resources are funneled into building armies of robots instead of schools, hospitals, or climate solutions? At the same time, we must confront the possibility of accidents. What happens when a combat robot misidentifies a target, or when communication is jammed mid-mission? Even a single error could spark international incidents, dragging nations into wars they never intended to fight. Unlike a human soldier, a machine cannot be court-martialed, cannot feel guilt, and cannot apologize. Responsibility becomes blurred, and accountability almost impossible. Consider, too, the ripple effect on civilians who live near war zones. The hum of drones overhead, the fear of autonomous patrols, the knowledge that machines are scanning their every move, it creates a constant psychological weight. For many, the presence of combat robots is not just about potential attacks, but about living under relentless, inescapable surveillance. In that sense, robots don't just fight wars, they extend them into daily life. And yet, the allure of efficiency is irresistible to militaries. Robots don't need food, rest, or paychecks. They can operate in radioactive zones, toxic environments, or extreme climates where humans would die within minutes. In purely practical terms, they are the perfect soldiers. But perfection in war is dangerous because it can make violence seem easier, cheaper, and less consequential, removing the very barriers that sometimes prevent wars in the first place. We also can't ignore the cultural shift these machines represent. For decades, science fiction warned us about a world where machines fight our battles. From Terminator to Black Mirror, the idea of killer robots fascinated and terrified audiences. Now those warnings are materializing. The line between fiction and reality is blurring, and what was once entertainment is becoming the evening news. Perhaps the most haunting thought of all is this: once these technologies exist, they cannot be uninvented. Just as nuclear weapons reshaped the 20th century, autonomous combat robots will shape the 21st. The only real question is whether they will be controlled responsibly, or whether they will spiral beyond our control. These combat robots are not coming, they're already here. From land to air to sea, they are rewriting the rules of conflict and forcing us to ask questions we've never faced before. Will they save lives by replacing human soldiers? Or will they drag humanity into a new kind of war, one fought by cold, unfeeling algorithms? The answer is still unwritten, and that's where you come in. If you want to stay ahead of these game-changing technologies, if you want to understand not just the machines but the ethics and dangers behind them, then this is just the beginning. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and let us know in the comments which of these combat robots you think is the most dangerous, and why. Because the future is being built right now, and the more we talk about it, the better prepared we'll be. So stay sharp, stay curious, and remember, the battlefield of tomorrow may look nothing like the one we know today, but its outcome still depends on the choices we make today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.